Today's book is called Treasure State by C.J. Box. In this book, we're introduced to J.D. Spangler. He's a private investigator, and he's on the road on assignment for a client that he has in Florida. He's actually from Florida. His client is in Florida, and he is out of state. It seemed that he has been to a couple different areas in the country working on this case. And in the beginning of the book, he reports to his client that, he's getting close and that he's in Anaconda, which is in Montana. Her client, as it turns out, is a wealthy older lady. Her name is Candace Fly. And then after she stopped hearing from Spangler, she reached out to a local PI who is Cassie, because that's the last place that the original PI Spangler was, and he said he was close. So she figured that this is where she would start. So she decided to hire Cassie, and the assignment was to find this guy who had ripped her off of millions of dollars. And it seemed to have been a romance scam where she, was, I guess, finessed into giving up millions of dollars to him for some business opportunity. And then she finally realized what was going on, because shortly after he received the money, he kind of disappeared, and now she wants her money back. But anyway, good luck with her with that. Typically, when these scams happen, chances of getting the money back are slim to none. But anyway, this is the assignment for Cassie. Cassie, in the meantime, is also working on a weird assignment as well, because her client on that assignment is somebody who supposedly has a treasure out there that people are hunting for. And he doesn't want her to find the treasure. He wants her to find him, but he doesn't really give her much clues. But I guess that's the little game that he's playing. And so she needs to figure out who he is. And along the way, she kind of figures out that he has to have some kind of writer background. And so we go into her going through the process of narrowing down those local folks who have been authors and trying to figure out who this guy is. Cassie ultimately figured out who the owner or the client was, who's supposedly the owner of the treasure that the people have been hunting for towards the end of the book. Now, as Cassie is working on the case for Candace, she runs into a local sheriff. I think he's a sheriff, Duplessis, and he's really, really hostile towards her. I guess, he figured out that she was asking about Spangler. And I had a feeling that he probably was involved in the death of Spangler because, if he had nothing to do with it, then why was he worried about her asking about him? But anyway, every turn that she makes, he seemed to be there and, trying to obstruct, in a sense, what she's doing. So his boss, Westfall, I think his name was, received a report from a local lady who's supposedly homeless that he had seen Duplessis having this conversation with the missing PI. Now, she's not really the most credible person because she's a homeless person. But anyway, Westfall decided to confront him about that and then also ask about a friend of his named Tim who was up and disappeared, and they were really close friends. So in the process of that confrontation, we find that ends in serious consequences for him because Duplessis, he's a very dangerous guy. Now, also, Cassie is also in the crosshair with Duplessis as well because her case, working for Candace Fly, is also intersecting with his involvement with the missing PI. So there's a cat and mouse game that ensues between her and him because he intends on not letting her discover his involvement and all that. Cassie also meets a local philanthropist who's supposedly kind of like a local hero in a sense because he's supposedly for the people, and he's really smooth and he seems interested in Cassie, and Cassie's kind of falling for it a little bit, but she's not that easily charmed and she's not that gullible. And so we find out that he turns out to be the con man in question that Candace had hired her to find. And, in that final showdown between her and Duplessis, he intended on killing her. And so one of her friends luckily jumped in and saved the day as well. And Cassie also in the end of the book was able to find out, solve the case of the missing PI. So it was a really good plot on this one. It's not the most action filled book per se, but I made it all the way to the end. The book definitely kept my interest because one, I want to find out what happened to the missing PI, and then also I want to find out who this con man was. So definitely worth a read. I'll give this 4 stars for sure. If you have read or listened to this book, let me know your thoughts. Until next time.